Hey everyone! Welcome back to If you love diving into the world of rare coins and their fascinating histories, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking about a coin that holds a special spot in the hearts of many collectors. The Kennedy half-dollar from 1974. Now, the Kennedy half-dollar is iconic in its own right, but what makes the 1974 version stand out, and how much is it worth today in circulated condition? We're about to break it all down for you. So, sit tight, grab your magnifying glass, and let's dive in. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The U.S. government wanted to honor his legacy by creating a coin that would symbolize his impact on the country. The original design, by Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparo, featured a portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse and the presidential seal on the reverse. Fast forward to 1974, the coin was still in circulation, and it was minted during a time when the U.S. government was experimenting with different materials due to the rising cost of silver. From 1971 onward, the Kennedy half-dollar was made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, which, while changing its metallic content, didn't affect the striking design. Though, let's talk about the design and features of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar. On the obverse, we have President Kennedy's profile, facing left, with the inscription Liberty at the top, and the year of minting, **1974**, just below. To the right, you'll see the words, "In God We Trust," which is the nation's motto. On the reverse, you'll notice the eagle holding a branch and a bundle of arrows, with the words, "United States of America," half-dollar, and "E Pluribus Unum" surrounding it. The coin has a diameter of 30.61 millimeters and weighs 11.5 grams. So, now the big question. What is the circulated value of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar today? Let's start with the basics. The Kennedy half-dollar is a 50-cent coin, and back in 1974, it was worth exactly what it said on the tin, 50 cents. But when it comes to circulated coins today, the value tends to fluctuate based on a few factors. If you have a common 1974 Kennedy half-dollar, it's typically worth its face value of 50 cents to $1, especially if it's heavily circulated and shows signs of wear. This means the coin may not carry much premium unless it's in fantastic shape. However, coin collectors are often interested in finding coins with minimal wear. If you have a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar that's in good condition, not too worn down, its value could be anywhere from $1 to $2. It's still relatively affordable for most collectors. Now, if you have a high-quality coin, maybe even one with a mint state 65 or better grade, which is practically like new, it could fetch anywhere from $4 to $5 or even more, depending on the buyer and market demand. Coins in near-mint or uncirculated condition definitely hold more value, especially if they are rare in such pristine state. Now, it's important to note that if you're dealing with a rare variety or an error coin, the value could go up significantly. For example, coins with die cracks, double strikes, or off-center markings can be worth far more than the standard versions. Here's where it gets interesting. Some collectors actively seek out these errors or misprints because they add a unique twist to the coin's history. If you have an error coin, you could see values soaring from $10 to even $50, depending on the severity and rarity of the mistake. So, how do you check the value of your 1974 Kennedy half-dollar? Well, the first thing you should do is inspect the condition. Check for any wear on the high points, like the president's hair and the eagle's wings. Look for any scratches or discoloration that might lower the coin's grade. Quick way to estimate your coin's grade is by using a coin grading guide or getting familiar with the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. Keep in mind, the better the grade, the higher the value, and there you have it. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is still a great find, whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started. While most coins in circulation won't break the bank, there's always the possibility of finding a rare gem or an error coin that could be worth a lot more. So, check your change, and who knows, you might just have a hidden treasure. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963. The U.S. government decided to honor his legacy by creating a new coin in his image. Kennedy was admired by many Americans, and the idea of featuring him on a coin was seen as a fitting tribute to the fallen president. The Kennedy half-dollar replaced the Walking Liberty half-dollar, which had been in circulation since 1916. The design was chosen after a nationwide design competition, which was later shelved when the decision to feature Kennedy was made. The initial design of the Kennedy half-dollar was created by Gilroy Roberts, the chief engraver at the U.S. Mint at the time. The design showed John F. Kennedy's profile facing left, symbolizing his leadership and service to the nation. This image was based on a photograph taken by Jacqueline Kennedy shortly after the president's death. On the reverse side of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparo, the U.S. Mint's chief engraver at the time, you'll find a rendition of the presidential seal, an eagle with a shield, olive branch, and arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and peace. The coin was first minted in 1964 in a 90% silver composition. The decision to use silver was because silver had been the standard for U.S. coinage for many years. The coin was originally planned to be issued as a commemorative coin, but the overwhelming public demand for the new half-dollar led to its permanent production. The coin became an instant collector's item and was issued in large numbers. The 1964 Kennedy half-dollar holds a significant place in coin history as the first major U.S. coin ever issued with a likeness of a sitting president. In 1965, the U.S. government began to phase out the use of silver in most coinage due to the rising cost of silver and the growing demand for coins. In 1965, the composition of the Kennedy half-dollar was altered to a 40% silver and 60% copper-nickel mix. By 1971, the silver content was completely eliminated in favor of a copper-nickel clad composition, which is still used today. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar continued with a copper-nickel clad composition. This was a time when the half-dollar was increasingly less used in daily circulation. The coin's utility had diminished as inflation took hold, and fewer people were using half-dollars for everyday transactions. However, it remained an important symbol of American history. The 1974 version is a standard coin in terms of design, featuring President Kennedy's likeness on the obverse and the presidential seal on the reverse. The coin's design remained unchanged throughout the 1970s, even as the U.S. Mint began to transition away from producing half-dollars for circulation. Today, the Kennedy half-dollar is not widely used in daily transactions. Instead, it is primarily produced for collectors, with many minted each year but not distributed in general circulation. The Kennedy half-dollar is a popular coin among collectors and is often sought after in higher grades, such as mint state or those with special errors or varieties. The coin remains a symbol of the enduring legacy of John F. Kennedy, with collectors appreciating both the history and artistry behind the design. 1964 ***, the Kennedy half-dollar is introduced. Made of 90% silver. 1965-1970 ***, the coin is minted with 40% silver. 1971. Present ***, the coin is produced in a copper-nickel clad composition, no silver. 1974 ***, the Kennedy half-dollar continues with a copper-nickel composition and remains a collectible item. The Kennedy half-dollar, particularly the 1974 version, holds a special place in American coinage history. While it may not be widely circulated today, its historical significance and connection to the legacy of President John F. Kennedy make it a coin worth cherishing for collectors and history enthusiasts alike. Whether you have a 1974 Kennedy half-dollar in your collection or are just beginning your journey as a numismatist, this coin is a fascinating piece of U.S. history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our future coin adventures. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a Kennedy half-dollar in your collection or want to share your thoughts on this coin. We love hearing from you.